Good morning. 8:15 a.m., April 15th, 2020. It's my friend Cornell Kinderknecht and Martin McCall, Dreamtime. This song's Equanimity. We're going to have a conversation about emotions. We're going to anchor in our breath, in our body, and just sit still for a minute. I'm going to let this play just for a little bit longer. So if you have coffee or tea, take a sip right now and just mindfully be present to it. And allow the calmness of this music literally to cascade over you. Just because of my time for teaching, we're going to stop that. I'll post that link. So I invite you to get into your mindful bodies. This is going to be for parents and adults about emotions. And the way we connect, we're connecting our head and our heart and our hands and our body in the present moment. For kids, I say for learning. But it's really about bringing ourselves present. So either you can do right hand on heart, left hand on belly, or opposite. Heart math does the left hand on the heart because it's a little bit closer this way. And focus on your breath. Notice how it feels, the sensation that's coming in through your nose and that slow circular breath out of your mouth. Eyes are closed because our brain takes in 80% of information, and we're just giving our brain a break sometimes, but in the morning, we're getting it ready for the day. And just notice how you feel. We're anchoring 3, and then I'll put the music on, so we'll sit for about a minute with the music, and then we're going to have a conversation about emotions, all right? So right hand on heart, left hand on belly, your mindful body, eyes are closed, and just notice how you feel. Notice the sensations in your body. And don't make up a big story. We're going to check in about emotions, but just notice what's landing in you right now, all right? So breathe in and breathe out. Just bringing your attention to this present moment slowly. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Now put your hands on your lap, your eyes are closed. I want you just to listen for about a minute. Focused on your breath. Just noticing how this music makes you feel. But just being there in the moment, connecting and calm. Breathe in. And slowly breathe out. And continue in that rhythmic dance of the inhalation, exhalation, just fully present. Breathing in. And breathing out. Just present. So I just invite you just then to listen to the sound of the bell. Checking in with what you're feeling. Just bringing your attention right here to this moment. So good morning. How are you feeling? And I really want you to answer that question. How are you feeling? I was listening to Brene Brown. Now let me see if I can bring her up because she's got a new podcast that is phenomenal. And she's talking with Mark, Dr. Mark, and let's see if I can find this because I've already done so much online this morning, which is interesting because I'm looking about feelings. Well, I might have to post this later. But her new podcast was actually diving into feelings, emotional literacy. How many of you guys grew up understanding your emotions, your feelings, what was happening in your body, what was happening in your brain, how you're reacting to things? And without the understanding of the roots of our feelings and emotions, this is why we see such dysfunctional behavior. I call it unskilled behavior. And as long as I've been practicing mindfulness, I still have moments when I get triggered by something and that little part of my brain, the amygdala, let's do the brain science very simple, hand modeled by Dr. Siegel, it's our brain. This part right here, my prefrontal cortex, is my wise leader. This is the place where I want to make these positive decisions, executive functioning. You open it up and you've got the amygdala, which is my security guard. That's that fight, flight, or fright response that happens with the amygdala. And that's when we say something or do something because we have this quick surge of energy because the cortisol running through our body. And then the hippocampus, which is our memory keeper, that literally gets impaired for kids during testing. When they feel scared, they shut that door, they can't remember. But understanding how we are feeling in the moment is really essential because how many times do we bypass it? How many times that somebody asks, how are you feeling? And you don't feel like they're being really sincere. It almost just becomes like the question that you ask, but you really don't have time to listen to. And Brene Brown was talking about that. You get your kids in the car, you got to get them to school. You ask them how they're feeling. They're saying, I'm overwhelmed, I'm stressed. You're like, okay, let's talk about it later, or let's talk about it on the way to school. As opposed to just really pausing and listening and really investigating and identifying the emotions, which the emotions land in the body. We feel it, all right? So if I'm feeling scared, I always ask the kids, where do you feel it in your body? I need to be able to name it in neuroscience to tame it. So we tend to bypass the negative because it doesn't feel good. And let me reframe that. It's difficult. I'm sorry I said negative because it's not negative. It's just difficult, but it gets labeled negative. We think it's not good. And it's really just our brain responding to either an external stimuli or an internal belief, and that we're creating something in our imagination in the moment. Because we have a need for safety, a need for understanding, a need for clarity. So there's a lot of fear and overwhelm that's happening right now, and that's okay to feel that. And the invitation is to get to the root of it, to understand in the moment, what is the trigger? What is triggering me in this feeling, in this belief? And then to be able to identify where it's landing in my body so that I can self-regulate, meaning, all right, somebody said something, or maybe somebody didn't, all right? So one of my main needs, and the feelings and needs comes from nonviolent communication. These are universal. And what happens is when we have these positive feelings, our needs are being met. There's healthy strategies. And when we are having difficult emotions and we are in the anger and the disgust and the disappointment and the hurt, that's just an unmet need. And we have to create a healthier strategy through communication. And literally sometimes the person we want to have that strategy with is just not going to happen. But I have to identify. So for me, I have a need for love, connection, and communication. All right, those are my three really main needs. Most of us have this need for safety, for belonging, for being seen, for being heard. And what happens is when we are triggered with that, like let's say we're feeling lonely because we have a need for love, connection, or belonging. We're feeling hurt because we have a need for respect or understanding, communication, connection. And my main need is that if somebody's ignoring me, it triggers a response of abandonment in me and a response of, my need for respect, but really my need for communication. Like I have this deep need. And as a child, I didn't have that. I didn't grow up with that. There was no communication. There wasn't healthy communication. And there wasn't any understanding of how the world operates. So during this time of the coronavirus, parents, it's really important for you to be able to identify what you are feeling. Get to the root of it. Where's stress showing up in my body? And what strategy are you using to actually move through the energy? Because what happens is people tend to suppress, bypass, project. I've been guilty of all these, all right? So when I'm teaching and preaching, I've experienced, all right? And it really is about, you can't postpone difficult emotions. I once had someone tell me I'm postponing my grief. I'm like, you can't postpone grief. Because what happens is it gets buried deep inside and it comes out sideways, this way, or it really does damage internally to your body. Like literally, it sets your immune system up for disaster. Speaking from experience about that. So here's the thing for today. I want you to walk around just, trying to just explore. What is it that I'm feeling right now? What is it that I need right now? How can I create a healthier strategy to witness this and then find a way not to bypass it, but to allow that energy to express. Now, an emotion in the moment, and I'll have to find the research link for that, should only last about 90 seconds. So if I'm getting mad, I want to be able to self-regulate, meaning, oh my God, I'm feeling mad and I'm feeling it here and that person in here. And then all of a sudden, I want to be able to use my breath as my anchor. So Daniel Rechastoffen in The Way of Mindful Education talks about going to base camp. My breath is my base camp. It's the place that I go to literally connect within, to breathe, to calm. Because until I calm that part of my brain, I need to get to my prefrontal cortex to make a wise decision. But if I'm in my amygdala and I'm flipping, I will say things or do things that I will regret because of that surge of cortisol in my body. So the invitation is to be present with the difficult emotions. And then cultivate the positive ones. We tend to, because the difficult ones are so intense and our brain is wired to keep us safe, that we literally forget about all the positive emotions, feeling happy and loved and supported and confident and grateful and peaceful and calm and refreshed. We forget all that because it's so intense the other way. So the invitation this morning, and I will put another link to the body scan, is to identify what you're feeling and where it's landing in your body. And we name it to tame it. And we do it with non-judgmental awareness. I'm feeling hurt. Well, I'm not going to judge myself. I'm feeling hurt. I'm feeling disappointed. I'm feeling surprised. I'm feeling shocked. I'm just pissed, all right? And then allow yourself to presence it. And instead of reaching for something to bypass the emotion, some unhealthy strategy, food, alcohol, shopping, whatever it is, don't judge yourself, but be in it because it's not going to last forever. We're doing weather, what's your weather with the kids? So just like the weather on Sunday, Easter Sunday, it began with a storm. There was rain, there was thunder, there was lightning. It was really intense. So that's those difficult, intense emotions. And then it passed. And then it was beautiful and sunny. And then around 4:15, I went for a walk over here at White Rock Lake, and I saw these ominous clouds, these really great shapes. So I'm like, ooh, something's coming. The seagulls were swirling, and I just knew something was coming. That's when you can pay attention to your body. You start sensing the worry and the fear and the intensity, how it's starting to build. And then sure enough, another storm came in, and once again, lightning, rain, thunder, but then I had hail. All right, so this, and then it cleared. And that is how our emotions flow. They don't last forever. The positive qualities can stay a lot longer. We can navigate throughout the day. Difficult emotions will not linger. Now, grief is a whole different topic. Grief is a whole different topic. And we're in collective grief and collective sadness right now. But the invitation is to presence it, to literally name it, to notice where you're feeling it in your body, and to take that moment to breathe in until it passes. And it's not like I'm trying to bypass it. I'm not trying to push it away, but I'm trying to get into this part of my brain and into my heart so I can either say something or do something that's going to be more effective, or I can invite the pause. I can't have this conversation right now because I just need a time in. I need to take care of me because I have a need for safety, and I have a need for security. I have a need for understanding. I have a need for clarity. And because we're living in such uncertain times, we are all being triggered by that. So when someone asks you, how are you feeling? Share, not in the place of drama. I need attention because I'm feeling so stressed. No, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling disappointed. I'm feeling confused. I'm feeling stressed. And then when you learn nonviolent communication, all the different needs that are not being met. And if you're the person that's asking the question, then please with your heart, just listen. Just listen. Sometimes people just need to be heard. I had 5 phone calls yesterday because there's a lot of intense energy that's swirling. There's a lot of things from our own shadow side. We all have these shadow sides. Carl Jung talks about that are just being illuminated right now. The fear of abandonment, the fear of lack and limitation. We don't want to go back to something that we've experienced, but that's the part of our brain that's being triggered. It's oh my gosh, I'm never going to have enough money. Oh my gosh, this is going to happen. Oh my gosh, I'm going to die. Oh my gosh. And you're flipping your lid like crazy. So the roots of your emotions we're going to just contemplate. And I will post that Brene Brown interview that is fabulous. Like, seriously, to identify our feelings and our emotions, to be present to that is powerful. And to use the mindful breathing as your base camp, the place that you anchor in the moment, which is why we practice on a daily basis with the kids. And the reminder when I'm teaching students, like, this is just like reading, writing, and math. It is a practice you must do every day. So in that moment when your brain does flip, you can notice the sensation, notice where it's landing, and then breathe to calm. So one more story about that. God, this was 10 years ago, and I was on my way to Hobby Lobby in Addison, and this guy on a motorcycle without a helmet was zigzagged in front of me, and then he slammed on his brakes, and literally he slid, he flipped, and then his head landed, and blood went flying. And I slammed on my brakes, literally 10 yards. He was 10 yards from me. And I could feel the cortisol going through my body, but I shifted into prefrontal cortex mode, and I literally embodied my brothers who are firefighters, like, what would Robert and Danny do? And got out there to check, to set the surroundings, to make sure he's safe. Other people came in, and then literally, people were helping him, and we were keeping people away, and I was telling all the looky-loos that if they're not praying for him, they got to go somewhere. And so we literally held the space, a safe space for this man, where blood was everywhere, and I'm not a big fan of seeing blood, but I was calm, and I was in my zone. And then the firefighters came, and then we were able to leave. Well, when I got to Hobby Lobby, all of a sudden, the cortisol was cascading so much in my body. It was like, and I think I sat there for 10 minutes, just feeling the intensity of that moving through my body, because I had so suppressed it to stay focused on helping this guy. So your body is going to express it in some way, this energy. And the invitation is that when you're feeling something, to be present to it, to be mindful to it, to use your breath as your base camp, to identify, to name it so you can tame it, and then to find out what the need is, and then to create a healthy strategy. And if you can't with that person, if that person's just unwilling to communicate or connect, then you got to find the people who will communicate with you and connect with you. If you're feeling uncertain, what can you anchor in the moment that makes you feel safe? All right, so that's our practice for today. I am going to play a little bit more Cornell. I will post that Brene Brown podcast and the link for the book. Oh, I just even forgot the name of the book. And just the invitation is to walk mindfully and just identify and be present to what you're feeling, to the emotions where they're landing, and to use your breath as the practice of bringing yourself present in this moment. And when someone asks you how you're feeling, just be honest, not from story, but like, yeah, I'm feeling, frustrated. I'm feeling annoyed. Or if you're feeling happy and grateful, share it. And then when it's your turn to ask somebody that, just be present and just listen. All right. So I love you. A little bit more Cornell and Martin McCall's Dreamtime, Equanimity. And then we are going to anchor out. Have good coffee, my friends, or good tea, whatever you like. Listen to this just for a moment, and then we're going to anchor out. Be mindful to all the good. I love you. We're living in interesting times, aren't we? But we've got tools that we can use. And it really becomes the personal practice. Because I can't do it for you. Like I share with the kids, I can share. And I am not perfect. I'll send text messages where I'm like, oh, why'd I say that? Oh, because I'm like really hurt. Or disappointed. Like I really, have this need for connection. It's like, really? And then it's like, get to what you're feeling, Veronica. Get to what you're feeling. So let me play. Oh, that's going to be Big Sky coming in. So let's anchor out. I love you. I got to teach. All right. So right hand on heart, one on belly, whatever works for you. Let's anchor in our body and our breath in 3. So breathe in and breathe out. This is Marble Falls playing now. Breathe in. And breathe out. Breathe in. And breathe out. And for those of you who do teach, highly recommend The Mindful Education Workbook, Daniel Retchestoffen, nice guy. Met him in 2015. So have a fabulous day. Tune into your feelings and emotions. Mindfully presence them. Use your breath as your base camp. Create healthy strategies. And let's create this new world that we're creating mindfully with compassion, kindness, gratitude, and cooperation. All right? Peace out. Love ya. I gotta go teach.